This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Kicking off hour two here at Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Jam-packed hour on deck coming up in 15 minutes. VSiN's own Dave Ross is going to join the program as we break down the first event of the year in UFC 324 out there in Vegas to get underway in a little bit. We'll have VP of Operations over there at Circa, Golden Gate, and the D, Mike Palm. And we're going to kick this hour off strong with our good buddy Zach Cohen, who joins us right now on the Progressive Guest Line, senior editor, host, of course, of the Hardwood Handicappers podcast. Betting on X, if you want to follow him on Twitter, where you were already watching the show earlier. And I got to say, Zach, something I really appreciate you is we're teaching them young to make sure we get in there. I loved the tweet from you saying that you one day hope to have a Hornets future with your daughter the way my father and I do. Now that's just, it's a beautiful thing, Zach. I got to tell you.
Yeah, it's very wholesome. She could be a gambling addict too. It'll be fun.
I don't think we need to use terminology like that. I think it was just a good father bonding experience. And then maybe one day your daughter will be on a show like this one, and then the father will have a smart aleck comment about the said bet that he made, that he was convinced to make, but then ultimately will be ruled silent because that bet is red hot, baby, and we're about to get it. How about that?
Which bet is red hot?
Charlotte Hornets, come on, man. We're getting over that win total. We're getting
what are we talking about?
The last time I spoke words with your father, he had a smart aleck comment about not the Hornets. I haven't heard from Richie B in a month. What's going on?
He's trying to lay low right now. That's all it is. He's laying low. He's stacking wins. He's watching the win-o-meter. That's all it is. Which, by the way, Zach, coming out of that, JVT had a more visceral reaction to the Magic last night than he did ultimately the Hornets' success in that game. Did you react similarly?
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in the Magic. I just feel like they have the talent now to go out and win the Eastern Conference, and the fact that, they've had guys in and out of the lineup all year. They finally have their team pretty much healthy, and they're starting to turn duds like that. It's definitely a bit disappointing, and the vibes after the game were absolutely terrible. Paolo Banchero kind of eviscerated, the team after the game, and I just kind of want to see what that's going to look like the rest of the season, because I do think that there's like 5-6 teams in the East that are just all kind of in a bucket of championship contenders or contenders to reach the finals. And I think the Magic are one of them. It's just, it has to start looking a little bit better soon.
Yeah, it was weird, too. I think, was it for last night? There was a part of the press conference was Jamal Mosley saying, you can't control the ball going into the basket. He went on a little bit of, a tirade about it. He's like, once it leaves your hands, you can't really do anything about it. Yeah, you kind of can. So we'll see what happens. But I think what Zach's saying here, the makeup of the East, the way it looks, I think makes this even more disappointing for Orlando, because this was an opportunity for them to potentially get some stuff done. Well, let's talk about a team whose vibes are immaculate, because they're at the top of the Eastern Conference. Detroit Pistons today, Zach. What is our expectation? They are at home against the Houston Rockets. Rockets just lost another road game. Speaking of complaints in a post-game presser, Kevin Durant whining about the offense yet again last night. What's the situation like for the Rockets? Are we going side or are we going player prop?
I'm going player prop. I like Isaiah Stewart over 12.5 points and rebounds, because I do think that with Houston being number one in the league in offensive rebound rate, I do think that there's going to be a need for a little bit more size. And I know that Steven Adams is out for the Rockets, and he's a huge part of that crashing identity, but they are still going to try to hit the glass. And I think that having Stewart's big body in there will help. And offensively, I think he's a player that can score around the basket, knock down some threes, and then, on the glass, I think he'll be a contributor as well. But I also kind of lean Pistons in this game. I didn't end up taking it, but it is, the second leg of a back-to-back for Houston. Not a team that's playing all that well right now, and it was an overtime game too, so an even tougher back-to-back. I just want to know that Cade Cunningham's out there, and I'm not sure we'll see that.
Meanwhile, a side that you are backing tonight is the Suns against the Hawks. We have seen this thing get out a little bit, though. Phoenix now laying 3.5 on the road, total 232.5. What's the angle here?
Yeah, I took the Suns when it was minus 137. I put this on the Pro Picks page last night. If you want to take it now, maybe throw it into a parlay with something else that you're very confident in. I just think that Phoenix is going to win this game. I mean, they were coming off of 2 full days of rest. They have not won in Atlanta since 2014. So there's going to be a real motivation there, especially with them having their full lineup ready to go. And just if you kind of break things down, since the start of the new year, the Suns have been one of the best teams in the entire NBA. 6th in the league in efficiency differential, probably should be 5th if they are behind the Hornets, who, like you guys said before. their numbers are skewed because of that 55-point win over the Jazz. But Phoenix has been tremendous on both ends of the floor. I think that Atlanta views itself as, a really good defensive team, top 10 in the league there. But I think that the Suns are a little bit better defensively, but also way better offensively.
I had to look when you sent the plays over, and I was listening to your podcast earlier today, Harvard Handicappers, wherever you get your pods. I know that this was not the name, but I had to double take because I thought this said Jason Tatum, not Jalen Tyson. What are we doing with Tyson here against the Sacramento Kings tonight?
I'm going back to Tyson over 15.5 points. It burned me last game. He did not shoot very well, and his jumper has kind of abandoned him over the last 2 games. He went for 39 against Philly in that road win a couple games ago, and then has kind of gone cold since. But at the same time, still no Darius Garland or Sam Merrill. He's averaging 21.1 points per game with those two guys out of the lineup. And he's averaging 15 shot attempts per game over the last 2 games. So even though he was struggling to get the jumper going, he's still shooting the ball a lot. And they're playing the Kings tonight. It's one of the worst teams in the league defensively, the worst team in the league defensively when talking about inside 10 feet. Tyson does like to go to the basket. He does like his floater. So I think there's going to be opportunities for him to score this evening.
In the Grizzlies-Pels game a little bit later on, 5.5-point spread in that game, by the way, you're targeting Cam Spencer with his assists. Do you think that the facilitating will be on point today?
Yeah, I have over 8.5 assists in that game. I got that at plus 105. Definitely would have been nicer to get that at a lower number, but I do think he's going to have 10-plus assists. I just think that you look at some of his numbers when Ja Morant doesn't play and Morant is out again. They've just been really, really strong, and he's actually had 11-plus assists in each of the last 3 games that he's played without Ja. And I noted it on the podcast. I noted it at vsin.com. Those 3 games are pretty big because you're talking about games that Vince Williams did play. And that's a guy that, gives them another ball handler. It's another, option at point guard for Tomas Isolo. And the fact that Spencer was still able to go for 11 plus with him out there says that he's still going to have a massive role. And this is, a team that's going against a Pelicans group that is absolutely terrible when you look at pretty much everything on the defensive end of the floor, whether that's guarding threes, guarding the rim, guarding in transition. It just seems like there's going to be a lot of easy looks to go around for Memphis.
I know this is part of a parlay that you have. By the way, my moneyline parlay, 2 of the 3 legs losing outright. How about that yesterday? I know we talked about that on Harvard Handicappers, but 2 of the 3 going down, Orlando being one of them, Minnesota the other. So what do we do with Milwaukee? I know that, again, this is an extension of a parlay here, but the market is all over them today, Zach. They're up to 8.5 against Denver, who I believe are resting some guys on the second leg of a back-to-back.
Yeah, I got ahead of this too at the money line. I was just kind of assuming that they were going to rest some guys because it is their 3rd game in 4 nights, second leg of a back-to-back, and they have a big game on Sunday. So I do think this is an opportunity for them to kind of rest some of these guys that are, I think you see Murray questionable, Valanciunas questionable, and Watson questionable. Wouldn't be surprised if you see all 3 or at least 2 of the 3 out this evening. I think that Aaron Gordon is going to play. That makes things a little bit tougher, but I do think Milwaukee, a team that while things have been pretty ugly over the last couple games, they are still trying to win as long as Giannis is there. And I do think they will get the job done at home. And by the way, if you want to feel a little bit better about your 2 out of 3 legs losing, last night I had a parlay for 3 tennis matches to go 4 sets. All of them lost, and one of them actually the player retired, so he didn't even go 3 sets in a 3-set match.
Is that a
Sounds
like
push? We all had some bad beats because hockey crushed my soul too. Yeah, what is that?
It's a loss. I mean, I lost 2 of the 3 legs. I'm just
but the retirement. Like, is that a push? Like, how do you rule it?
It depends on the book. It depends on the book. It would have been a loss, I think. Actually, that's actually a total, but it lost because the other.
They should give you retirement forgiveness at FanDuel or DraftKings.
They forgive everything else.
My favorite thing. My favorite thing. To follow up on the Bucks element of this, though, real quickly, because I know Giannis had some pointed comments about his teammates after the game the other day, and essentially sounding like he wants the ball in his hands more. I don't know. Is there anything from a prop perspective that you did at least look at going into this game based on some of his comments, or just ignore that altogether?
I completely ignored it because I feel like, the reason that he didn't get a lot of touches and didn't have a lot of shot attempts is because he was playing OKC and the rest of his team isn't that good. Like, that's a Thunder team that is elite, on the defensive end of the floor. I think when you give them a game plan where it's really easy to just kind of look at one player and say, we're taking that guy out of the game, it's really easy for them. So I don't think there's going to be like a concerted effort to get him the ball. I just think he's going to have his normal role, moving forward immediately. Like, I just think it was one weird game, one where obviously he sounded off after the game, but I just think that that's because he's frustrated with everything that's going on, not just what we saw in that one.
All right, Zach, we're inching closer to the trade deadline. And, it's funny, a lot of people post-trade deadline want to know, all right, well, what do we bet? Well, you kind of got to get ahead of some of these. There hasn't been much, and Windhorst had a report the other day, Brian Windhorst, ESPN, that everybody's focused on Giannis Antetokounmpo. So what do you think this trade deadline looks? Are there moves to make ahead of some of the news? Is there noise enough to act on?
I still think that the Timberwolves are the one to go to, because I just think that, like, whether or not Giannis has moved, it doesn't really impact them. They're going to be looking for guard help, and the players that they've been linked to, Kobe White, Colin Sexton, guys like that, I think can really help them. And I think that they have looked like one of the best Western Conference teams when healthy this season. And if you add another guard to a really weak guard rotation outside of Edwards, I think you're looking at another top tier contender in the Western Conference, where we kind of say, it's the Nuggets, it's the Thunder, it's maybe the Rockets and Spurs. I think you add the Wolves to those maybes if they add another guard.
Zach, forgive me if you said it and I missed it. What did you pair the Bucks with for your parlay?
Oh, I paired that with an alternate spread, so it's going to be something that's a little bit juicy. But the Raptors plus 7.5 tonight in Portland, where it is a back-to-back for the Blazers. The Raptors, I think, have been playing just as well as the Blazers since January 1st, and I actually think that Scotty Barnes defending Denny Avdia is going to be one of the few players in the entire NBA that can actually slow him down. So I think that Toronto's defense is going to be really, really sharp tonight.
Beautiful. Awesome stuff as always, Zach. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Zach Cohen, everybody. Really appreciate it. Make sure, check out Hardwood Handicappers wherever you get your podcast. We'll be right back.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The first event of the UFC season getting underway this weekend. UFC 324 from Viva Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you as we welcome you back to Money Moves. Excited to break it all down with our good buddy Dave Ross, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Host, of course, each and every morning during the week. First Strike as well, if you want to download in podcast form. And I know a lot of people, Dave, are really excited about the new era of UFC on Paramount. How excited are you for finally getting things underway tonight? I mean, this weekend.
On a 1 through 10, probably a 20, Stormy. I can't wait, y'all, for this to get to Paramount. Like, I can stop adding up those pay-per-view bills that I've had for years that you pay the $60, $70, or you go to all the bars, wherever you have to go, wherever they have the fight game, and now you get to have your – and by the way, I get no money from Paramount to plug this, but this is a really good deal for the UFC and their faithful to be able to watch this at home on a week-to-week basis. So really, pay-per-views, y'all, are dead, at least in this form right now. You can watch them as I'm going to do here as long as I have power for this storm that's coming here in Tennessee and Kentucky border. I cannot wait to watch this tomorrow night here on Paramount. And, guys, I do think you can look at that kind of from a handicapping side, too, that with it being on TV, like more or less traditional TV now, the promotion is going to be looking for fighters that get finishes out there, that really do draw eyeballs to it, not just from a pay-per-view side in the old days. So I think you're going to be looking for kind of that nod to, can you get fighters out there? Can you not be boring? We're looking for excitement. It's a new deal with Paramount, and I think you're going to see a lot less wrestling and more of the boxing stand-up type styles that at least American fight fans seem to really they want to see more of that and less of the grappling.
All right, let's talk about the main event. Paddy Pimblett, he is about a $2 favorite over Justin Gaethje. This should be very fun. Pimblett at the face-off was like 3 inches taller because he stopped slouching like a freak. But what are we doing here? Because he's got a size advantage here, Dave, does he not?
He does, JVT, and I've loved the Paddy side here. I've always looked to try to find a way to fade Paddy Pimblett through the years, and I haven't gotten to the window on the other side, and I've cashed every ticket. He's undefeated in the UFC, and we kind of thought maybe he's a novelty fighter. He's, British fighter. He talks good on the mic. People like him over there, but really, for an American fight fan, are we really going to embrace Paddy Pimblett and lay over $2 against a guy everybody loves to root for and the highlight in Justin Gaethje? Yeah. I still think he's a very playable fighter tomorrow night. You can get him at plus money, y'all, for the sub price right now. And what I see happening is Gaethje's so tough, man. He's tough as nails in there, but he takes shots. And Paddy Pimblett might not be a great striker, but what he can do is use that striking to hurt you. And then I really think kind of slide around and look almost standing, not to go down to the ground, but look for maybe a standing guillotine for the backside or a rear naked choke there. I could see him getting a submission victory and the fight never going to the ground. That's how much bigger, Jonathan, he's going to be against Justin Gaethje in this fight. So I do like the sub price at plus money, but I did lay the price point here earlier last week when it was about 210. It's up to 240 here. I still think that's a fair price on Paddy Pimblett here.
So with that in mind, I think especially for some people who maybe haven't bet UFC before and this is their first time, they want to get started as the season gets underway. Like you mentioned the submission price. How many different ways can you bet UFC? What are some of the angles that you have found to be most profitable? Just kind of big picture before we dive deeper.
Love it, Stormy. Yeah, like you can look at those totals, right? And for this one being the 5-round, this is an interim title bout here in the lightweight division. So it is scheduled for 5 rounds. And right now we're seeing that the bookmakers have put this right around 2.5, right square there in the middle, because they kind of don't know which way this is going to go. So sometimes if you don't want to lay that big price point on Paddy Pimblett, Stormy, to your point, you can look to other ways. Paddy, it's almost correlated in some regards here. Some people think that the longer the fight goes, it might be to the advantage of Justin Gaethje, who's been in there with some of the very best fighters the lightweight division has ever seen. And so that the longer it goes, it gives him more of the puncher's chance. I don't see it that way, Stormy. I actually think the longer it goes, Gaethje better get this work done early, because I don't think he's going to have the power to go long into the night with a much bigger guy in that octagon, a younger guy, and dare I say hungrier at this stage. So I'd look to the over 2.5, right around minus $1.10 here for the over. $1.20s at some place. I'm seeing the juice go up a little bit. I'd look to that side if you don't want to lay the 240 in the Pimblett, play the over 2.5 rounds. But I do think that submission is really live at plus money for a guy that's almost a 250 betting favorite. Always like to look for those angles to get plus money when I like the favorite side here, and I do in the Paddy Pimblett side.
All right, Sean O'Malley in the co-main event. He's also about a $2 favorite against Song Yadong. Does this look like what it's going to be on the surface? Are they just meeting in the middle and throwing haymakers? And if it is, how does that affect the way you play this? Because that seems like it could be a volatile fight, Dave.
It could, Jonathan, but I'd say this. We talk about Paramount, right? And they're looking for stars. Sean O'Malley, this is what the promotion wants, man. They want a fighter like Sean O'Malley to shine tomorrow night against a fighter in Song Yadong, who I have a lot of respect for, should be right there to be hit. So this is a striker. This is not a guy that's going to want to grapple. So I keep talking about with Paramount, we're kind of going anti-wrestling, if you will, a little bit. So it should be a stylistic, perfect matchup for a guy like the Sugar Show and Sean O'Malley. Struggles with grapplers, right? That's how he lost the couple times to Merab Dvalishvili. This is a guy that just is a supreme grappler. It's a terrible matchup for Sean O'Malley. Song Yadong is perfect for him. He's going to come forward. Sean O'Malley's he's a great counter striker. So I think you're going to see that. And guys, the way I've played this fight, I did lay it at $1.90 before this has gotten over $2 here. I'm normally not a favorites player, but I am in the co-main and the main event here. I'd lay that price point with Sean O'Malley. Plus money here, if you're looking for it, does come for Sean O'Malley via decision at about plus $1.25. Gobble those up while you still can. I don't think he's going to knock out Song Yadong, but I think he paintbrushes him for 15 minutes, puts on a Picasso in there, and I could see him getting his hand raised rather easily. And if it does go to the judges' scorecards, they're more apt to be on the O'Malley side just because he's stylistically really pleasing to the eye. The way he flows inside that octagon, where Song Yadong can look a little bit stiff at some points. Big time power for Song Yadong. That should not be discounted. But if this gets into a stylistic, artistic type fight, advantage Sean O'Malley. I like him via decision here at plus $1.25.
Dave Ross, host of VSiN by the Book, saying the First Strike podcast. Get wherever you download your podcasts. The heavyweight bout, I thought this was interesting because you've got a pretty decent size minus 340 favorite in this one, yet you like the dog in Derek Lewis. Why?
Because he's, again, Paramount. This is perfect. Salsa Boy and Waldo Costa Acosta is a great fighter, great technical striker. He's got big power in his own right, but not Derek Lewis power. So again, Stormy, non-wrestler, Paramount, right? Salsa Boy is going to stand right in front of Derek Lewis. And dare I say, if he doesn't use that movement, the crowd will boo. If he starts to dance around and makes Derek Lewis chase him around, they want action. And I think that Salsa Boy is going to give Derek Lewis too many opportunities to get that one punch knockout. It only takes one for the Black Beast. And I would play the over as well. I know it's dangerous for 7.5 minutes to get to that over 1.5, but I think it'll take a minute for Derek Lewis to get there. But when he does, that power always translates. Second round, third round, last 10 seconds of the fight. It won't matter. If Derek Lewis is still there, he's still very live. I love the Black Beast. Plus 285 you're getting at some books here. Get over $3 at the KO prop. You can do that as well. I don't think Derek Lewis can win a decision. He's not looking to win a decision. He wants to knock somebody out. Then he wants to pound his chest and hopefully not take off his clothes in the octagon. Let's keep it clean. It is Paramount, Derek. But I do think the Beast is really live in this one.
All right, last 90 seconds, Dave. Go wherever you want on this card, prelims, early prelims, anything else that sticks out to you that you'd like to get out there?
Yeah, JVT, I'm looking still at the main card, and I'm really surprised that Arnold Allen is this big of an underdog against Gene Silva. Gene Silva is one of those aesthetically pleasing to the eye fighters. This is a fighting nerds guy. He's coming off a bad loss against Diego Lopez the last time out. But I don't think that Gene Silva, coming off that loss, is going to get technically sound. That's not who he is. Arnold Allen is a very technically sound fighter who's only been in there with some of the very best. That's his losses. But I think he's as good as Gene Silva. I think Gene Silva should be favored. He's about $1.40 when this fight came out. He's ballooned to $250, $260. Why? I'm not quite sure why. So to me, Arnold Allen is really live here at the plus price tag here, over $2. And look, Natalia Silva, I know the organization wants her to be the next big star. A Rose by any other name is still Thug Rose. I think she's got a head kick chance of pulling off a massive upset here. There's no way I'm laying over $4 here or close to that price point in Natalia Silva. Love her. Again, aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Thug Rose. Keep your head in the game, and she's still in this fight here at over a $3 betting underdog.
All right, Dave, we appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck, bud. Hey, before the line moves, get in on it. The sharp play's already there. January 9 isn't about volume, it's about precision, folks. NFL playoffs where limits rise, mistakes shrink, and timing matters more than ever. Check it out. The sharp play's fantastic, powered by advanced AI, connected to proven insider sources, and locked in on the NFL playoffs. Sharp Plays helps identify where the sharp money hits before the number disappears. SharpPlays.com, trusted by pros, monitored by the books. Stay ahead of the line this postseason. Visit SharpPlays.com.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The D to spot today, Stormy Buonantony out in Lubbock, Texas, a place that I probably will never step foot in. And here in the best place in Las Vegas, at Bar Canada, sitting next to me on my left, Mike Palm, the head honcho, the Big Cheese. Hello, sir. How are you today?
Boy, this brings back memories for me. You know, sitting here with Patrick and Amal and that symphony that they conducted for a little under a year. Those were some good times.
Yes, they got along fantastically.
It was one of the greatest threesomes of all time.
Absolutely. I've done a couple of shows with you here as well. So
You've done shows with me.
Yep.
I did a show a couple seasons with Ben Wilson, the college football live betting show. It's a nice place. You can see the TVs, which beats the circus studio.
Yeah, absolutely. How's the TV situation out in Lubbock, Stormy?
Not as great. I have one over to my right, and it's kind of small. However, I was going to say The only thing I've ever done at the was when there was a plan or an attempt to do a VSiN hockey betting show pilot, and we filmed that over there at that desk at the D. But that was the only show that I've ever done there.
Was that with Andy McNeil? Was that back in those glory days?
No, McNeil wasn't part of it, but Amal was. We had your boy Banksy as a part of it.
Yeah.
Mitch and Paul were involved. It was a fun little thing that we put together there.
Yeah.
But obviously not good enough. Nobody wanted our hockey show, Mike.
Yeah, I know. How about Mitch and Paul? They did that stuff for Major League Baseball for 2 years, all those updates. And
that's a good point.
And then Ariel Epstein got the job.
That's why. You know, I famously, I did a lot of Arena Football League hits way back in the day as well for the Vegas Stats and
You did?
Yeah, especially Washington. I like to tell it was the Washington Monument Network or whatever they call it, and Ted Leonsis loved the in-game hits so much. His son came out here. We met him. It was wonderful. And then all of a sudden, after we did a live bet test show for the NBA, Washington Wizards had some live betting shows on their network the next year. It was
all of a sudden you got in bed with William Hill and made them his partner. I mean, you led to all of that.
Well, come on now. All right, so we got this weekend. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I did want to ask, especially because you guys are out there at Bar Canada, Mike. I've seen all of the videos that Derek has put out of Vegas at par. What can you tell people about that?
He's done like 50 interviews in the last day and a half. He says Alberta's ready to secede. They're with Derek and Trump. I don't know what's going on. He thinks there's going to be like 50 people a day coming from Canada. It's a pretty good deal, though, right? One time only, and this is through August, but we might extend it. You go in and buy in at the cage, and we're giving you the exchange rate. So if you bring 500 Canadian, we're going to give you a Tito for $6.35. And it goes daily, 27% today, whatever the exchange rate is. You get 27% off your hotel stay. You get 27% off of drinks at Bar Canada, at Bar Prohibition, and at Overhang Bar. So those one select bar at each property. But whether you're staying here or not, you can take advantage of the bars thing and the one time with the slot play. So it's a pretty good deal. We'll see how it pans out. We all just did our projections at the end of August. How many additional hotel rooms are going to be booked by Canadians and how much coin in will this generate? Obviously, Derek and mine varied widely. He was like a 40x multiple of what I predicted. But it's certainly been a lot of great publicity. And I guess this wasn't intended because we've been working on this a month. But the timing of Trump's remarks, again, where he talked about Canada, I said maybe we do something for Denmark. We let them do something free for 6 hours, how long they lasted in World War II or whatever. You know, we can reach out to all aggrieved countries. That's pretty good.
I would love actually, that's a pretty good game. Historical, like, specials that you could put together for all different countries.
Right. It's not a bad. We got tourism. We got to continue to support tourism. Yes. I mean, we can't offend the whole world.
All right. Well, this is a good weekend if you want to come down and take advantage because it is conference championship weekend. We will get that starting on Sunday. So let's start in the AFC first. You talk to a lot of people in our neck of the woods, and there's a lot of, hey, numbers too high, Broncos are the side. Would you agree with, yes, Broncos are the side. Would you agree with that sentiment?
I don't know. I mean, the more I look at this game, the more I think that New England probably deserves to be a 4.5. We're down to 4 now. So on the point spread, we've seen some action on Denver. The money line bets have all been on New England. But I'm very concerned about a third string center. 67% of your receiving production is out in this game. There's a lot of reasons to be concerned. Stidham hasn't taken a snap in 2 years. They're like, what's your memory of Stidham? I said, Auburn. I mean, I don't have any memory in my head of him in the NFL, really. But this is where, this is where Peyton wants to be, right? Because if Denver wins, it's going to be all about Sean Payton. What a genius is Sean Payton. He came up with this game plan. To me, it all comes down to can they get pressure on May? And if they can, we saw that his pocket presence isn't the greatest. Houston created turnovers with pressure. I think then they have a chance. But if they don't, we've seen in the last 5-6 weeks, teams have been able to throw against them. If they can't get pressure on May, then I think the game actually could get out of hand here. So I haven't played the game. I like it under a little bit because I think Peyton will try to shorten the game, shorten the number of possessions, short passes, if he can run the ball at all with Harvey. So if I had to make a bet, I'd lean under 42.5 here.
I mean, I could see the pressure getting there. He's been sacked 10 times, 5 turnovers those 2 games. Nobody better at sacking the quarterback than Denver this season. And Will Campbell, as a part of that front, has really struggled as well. Like, I was even looking just to see price-wise what some of the Broncos sack, market numbers were. Nick Bonito on DraftKings, minus 128 for a sack in this game. So we'll see how it all shakes out from that standpoint. What about in the other game with the Seahawks and Rams going head to head? You guys have stood pretty pat at that 2.5, it seems like.
Well, we opened 1.5 and they got bet to 2.5 right away. We haven't moved an inch. Not a ton of action on this game. Of course, we would like the Rams from a circuit perspective because we have those massive futures from August on Seattle. So there's over 2 million if they would win the Super Bowl between NFC and Super Bowl. 2.5 million combined. I bet, and Stormy, I think we did a show. I don't know who, maybe I was filling in for JVT. I don't know what the merry-go-round lineup was at this time. But remember when we put together our top 5 quarterbacks and in the NFL? And this was like last spring or summer. And you said one of mine is going to surprise you. It's Matt Stafford. You had him at 5th. I had him at 4th. When the Rams said they were shopping Stafford, I never believed that. I always believed he'd be with him. Now the question was health. So I have the Rams at 30-1. I'm going to stand pat with it. If Sam Darnold beats me, he beats me, right? He threw 3 interceptions for 4 interceptions the first game, and that's what gave the Rams the game. Last game, if they don't return that punt, the Rams are firmly – that was during the blackjack tournament. The Rams were firmly in control of that game. So I think it'll be a great game, and I'm going to let my ticket ride and be Rams fans here.
Yeah. No, I think it makes a ton of sense when you look at it. I mean, the other part that's looming over this is his oblique. He hasn't played particularly well, and as we keep saying, they were lucky. I think McDonald was very happy they only had to throw 17 passes in that game last time.
Before the last drive of the first half, after San Francisco kicked the second field goal, Darnold had like 42 yards passing. He wasn't terrific at all. They just blitzkrieged them with the run back and then converting that turnover into a touchdown.
Plus, he hasn't been great in those games with the Rams either. JVT and I brought this up a lot yesterday because Sam Darnold said in his media availability about 10 times that he needed to protect the football. 2 touchdowns, 6 picks in those games. I'm actually more excited for that game than the other. Like, I just like the idea of round 3 in the division and how both games have been so close and down to the wire. See if we get another one when all is said and done. How about going on at Circa for the first UFC event? We just had Dave Ross on the program last segment. You guys doing anything cool on property?
Well, we're going to show it now. This is a big thing with Paramount about, it's just a whole different deal than the deal we had with UFC before through sponsoring SLAP, and now it's Paramount. And we've been able to work out it will be shown at Stadium Swim. We're still working through, can we show all the undercards and the fight nights in the casinos like we already did. But we signed the deal to make sure that all of the UFC events will be at Stadium Swim, as they have been. So that's a good thing. Dave said he'll have to get Paramount Plus now. I said, well, I've had it for 3 years for the soccer, and of course I want to watch Elsbeth on demand.
Yeah,
right.
Of course. The soccer is very important as well. That one slipped over me. Really quick before we get you out of here, anything?
She's on camera. Does she know she's on camera?
I don't think
she's just so happy there in Lubbock.
Anything in?
I have a very emotive face. Okay, I can't help myself.
Anything on the ice today?
I didn't do anything on the ice today. I added Edmonton and Tampa to my Stanley Cup portfolio. I think Tampa's the most likely winner to come out of the East. And if McDavid plays like this, Edmonton's probably, the second best team. I don't know. Dallas can't score, Stormy. The Star, we know to forget about the Stars in the postseason anyhow. The Wild still need a center. He's got to go out, Guerin, and get a center. If he does, then I might give him a chance. Montreal's interesting at 70-1 too. Maybe they're not tall enough, but they're interesting as well. Meanwhile, a guy came in here we've never met earlier this week, Stormy, and wanted to bet 10,000 on the Penguins at 65-1. I think we ended up taking 2,500. But I mean, Skinner's been playing awful well in that new surrounding there, so it was just an interesting bet from someone we've never seen, and we took 2,500 and 2,500 to win the East as well.
Okay. Interesting. It's funny that you say that about Dallas. I had somebody come up to me the other day and say, so what do you think about the Stars? And I was like, well, I've bet them too many years in a row and had them flame out in the conference championship game, and I'm not ready to get hurt again. Like, I have no interest in the Stars right now.
Yep. Hey, folks, make sure you check out VSiN.com/subscribe. Promo code is money. Save $60 off a VSiN Pro annual subscription today. You get everything we do, the daily best bets, the betting splits, AI-powered prop tools, and more. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and check it out. Promo code is money.
Stormy, enjoy the weekend with your new best friend, Jay Billis.
Thank you. See you, Mike.
See you.
We'll be back with some best bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, I'm supposed to bring us back here. We have technical issues, but Stormy is here. So, Stormy, how are we feeling? It is, I think, weather-related out there. Technology is maybe letting us down a bit. What's going on?
I feel okay. I can see myself now. It was glitchy in the commercial break, so hopefully I'm loud and clear here. But we were just actually looking at the weather. It's 32 degrees right now, feels like 12. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 6 as this winter storm comes through and is like sweeping the nation right now. And JVT, I think you probably feel the same way as me, but I don't want to speak for you. Like, I am a desert person, lived the bulk of my life in Las Vegas and San Diego. I am not made for these conditions. I do not, I appreciate visiting, but could never live in a place that has snow and sleet and all of that. Again, I did my time in Colorado for 3 years, and I think that's about my limit.
I've never lived in a climate like that, so I couldn't say no. I enjoy winter weather quite a bit, but again, that's because I've lived in a desert all of most of my life. So I'm not going to say that I wouldn't do it, but I will say I always find it fascinating if you go back many years, decades, hundreds of years. You know, which one of our ancestors in humanity saw that winter and was like, yeah, I'll settle here. Like, this seems good. This seems like a place where I can, like, root in and be good. And, I mean, I guess a lot of people still like it, but I would give it a shot at least.
Maybe they learned early. Isn't there something, too, if you freeze to death, there's something euphoric about it? Isn't that so, you know? So it's, like, actually a good death for you back in the day if you froze to death.
Not that I have looked this up or anything, but I believe... is it DMT, dimethyltryptamine, that releases in your brain when you are born and also when you die? And that might also be some sort of hallucinogenic drug that some enjoy every once in a while. And I think that's why most of the times, I think when you're on the verge of death's doorstep, that is why maybe some of them might be euphoric, to use your term. Not that I would know.
Yeah, but you would know it. You wouldn't know anything about any of those types of things now, would you?
There's no bucket list or anything.
Obviously, as we talked about, I'm here for college basketball, Houston and Texas Tech tomorrow afternoon. And with kind of college sports on the brain, we did see it come down earlier this morning, the news with the college football playoff, that the field will remain at 12. And this was a conversation. Initially, the decision was supposed to be made by December 1st. The leagues ultimately were able to get an extension. So today was the final deadline where they had to make a decision on that. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey has very publicly for a while supported a 6-team model, but Tony Petitti on the Big Ten side would only agree to that if Sankey agreed that in a couple years we would go to a 24-team field. And there wasn't a consensus on it. I think so. This was the expectation, at least in my mind, that we would have 12 for another year. It'll be the same deadline next year to see what that continued expansion will be. Like, do you have a strong opinion on what you think the right number is, JVT?
Not really. I mean, I thought before we expanded that 8 was let me think about this. 6 was relatively solid. Like, you get all the power champions, and then you get a group of 5 representative, and like just let them duke it out. But obviously, television's involved, advertising's involved. They want as many games as possible. I think 12 is fine as well. Look, I will use a term that you used when we talked about this, when we were talking about the playoff being set, and you were absolutely wrong on this topic. But you did say one thing that was right, which was nobody's going to be happy no matter what. You could expand this out to 100 teams, and the 101st team that doesn't make it in, and people are going to complain about it. So I would say that just set it, and let's just get this over with. I think 16 is a little much, realistically. Is the 16th seeded team in the country going to have a shot at making it all the way to a national championship and winning it? Probably not, but hey, man, we've got 68 teams in the NCAA tournament, and we just do it every year. So people will watch, and I think that's all that really matters to them.
I like 12 personally. Sure. I think 16 is the max I would go. So I understand the hesitation of Greg Sankey and some of the people that agree with him on not wanting to lock in going to 24 beyond that. A couple other wrinkles to this, to the changes for next year, though. They have adjusted that the Power 4 conference champions will all be guaranteed the spots in the 12-team field next year, along with the highest-ranked group of 6 now champion, which will include the new look Pac-12. Notre Dame also, we talked about this after they were held out in the memorandum of understanding, will also have a guaranteed spot if they are ranked in the top 12. So those are just a couple of the nuances that will change in college football, move it ahead to 2025. That said, let's wrap things up with our best bets going into the weekend. JVT, real quickly to recap on my end. The Buffalo-Montreal first period over did end up coming through. The full game, no, which was such a buzzkill because Montreal was firing and they had every opportunity in the world to tie the game at 3, which would have guaranteed us getting over that 6.5. 34 shot to 17 advantage, had more power plays and just couldn't do it. So unfortunately, we lose there, and Lane Hudson did not get an assist. Meanwhile, at least Florida did cash in on the money line at Winnipeg. Looking forward to this weekend. I told you earlier this week, I still have that Indiana Rams teaser I need to close out. I added a teaser for conference championship weekend with the 2 underdogs, the Rams up to 8.5, Broncos to 11.5. I still think 10.5 is a worthwhile number. And we talked about it enough this week with Sam Darnold and our questions about the oblique, our questions about what things are going to look like offensively, how reliant they're probably going to be on Kenneth Walker and running the football. Under 30.5 pass attempts, it is a little bit juiced at -120, but officially added that to the portfolio. And as we look to Sunday, because JVT, you and I will be on the air in the 3 hours prior to kickoff of that first game, I will have more props and a few other angles that'll be made official at that point. But right now, these are what we've got in the account.
Yep. For me, last night, a 4-game split. Rockets -1.5 end up losing in overtime. A controversial end there where the Rockets did not get called for a goaltend that should have ended the game in regulation. Instead, they go to OT and get smacked in the face, so they lose outright on the road as 1.5-point favorites. Road struggles continue. Mavericks +5.5, as we discussed, get the outright win and relatively comfortable win against the Golden State Warriors. Money line win for the Clippers as well. They get it done. Got ahead of the market there. They closed about 2.5-point favorites. And then how about that? The Magic Timberwolves Spurs money line parlay. 2 of the legs lose. Doesn't even matter at +102. So right there, a very small, 2-2 and breaking it just under even. For the weekend, Broncos +4.5. Added that a couple of days ago, as we had discussed here, as well as the over 40.5. This game, Stormy, is at the 43 here at Circa, so it's a good thing that I got in at the early portion of the week to bet this thing over the total. Seahawks -2.5. We've discussed this all week. Put the money where the mouth is. I think the number's short underneath the field goal. I will trust the Seahawks team, and I do, almost blindly on defense and on special teams. The offense is still a question, but they've been so good, and Stafford seemingly has regressed. I'll take a shot with the Seahawks at home -2.5. And you and I, we've been talking about this most of the week, and let's have a money moves play together. Sam Darnold under 30.5 pass attempts at -120.
Bing bong, we love a team play. I know you don't care about the his stuff because it has nothing to do with today's teams. One of the nuggets I came across for having the best offense in the league taking on the best defense in the league in the 2 previous conference championship games where we saw the top units be at odds. The best defense won. Seattle even being one of them back in 2014 against Green Bay. Philadelphia beat Dallas in 1980. Again, we understand no bearing on what we're going to see this weekend, but I did at least find it interesting that when it's been the best offense, number 1 offense versus number 1 defense, and you've had that best on best, that the defensive side has won. Defense wins championships, JVT.
It's true. I mean, one of the best examples we have of that was that Super Bowl out there in New Jersey, right? The Denver Broncos, and they got smoked by those Seahawks that same year. So, look, man, they're good. And I think I don't think we talk enough about it. We've brought it up here on the show. There is a massive mismatch here. It is the Seahawks special teams unit versus the Rams special teams unit. You go over the schedule for Los Angeles, multiple losses tied directly to their inability to play special teams well. And this is the best unit in that regard. So I think I would not be surprised, would you, if we're watching on Sunday and we're seeing special teams, whether it's a big punt return for a touchdown or one that just sets up a short field, a kickoff return, that ultimately makes a difference in this game.
Yeah, I was wondering, are you going to put a little fun bet on that defensive or special teams touchdown for Seattle?
Let's save it for Sunday. How about that?
Okay. All right. Also, just one quick update on that game as well from an injury standpoint. Mike McDonald did say yesterday he was optimistic about Charles Cross being able to start. It was worth noting, though, he was held out of practice yesterday. I haven't seen any further update on that, but he was held out, and their second and third string tackles both didn't practice and are day-to-day. So he sounded optimistic, though. He made it appear as if Cross is going to go, which would be best case scenario for Seattle, but did want to at least put that out there in the world.
All right.
All right, you ready to go? I'm excited for this weekend. I think it's going to be fun.
It's going to be. I mean, look, tomorrow's college basketball slate is going to be very, very good leading into conference championship weekend. Both teams have both games have a lot of intrigue to them. And like you said, I mean, how can you not be excited for this? A lot of people tell you this is the Super Bowl, Rams and Seahawks, that the winner is going to move on to beat whoever comes out of the AFC. The odds would dictate that as well. I would agree a little bit, but either way, this has been a great series so far, and I find it hard-pressed to believe that this is not going to be a good one in and of itself.
All right, that's a wrap for us today. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us all week here on Money Moves. JVT and I will be teaming up once again for a Live Bet Sunday coming up ahead of both of those conference championship games, so make sure you join us then. But for now, keep it locked on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Follow the money with Mitch and Paul coming up after this.